What's up, everybody? We're back. Welcome to another new episode of the Last Wave Podcast. We dive into topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, nerd stuff, and conspiracies. As always, thanks for listening. It means a whole lot. Check out our Facebook page if you haven't already. We do also have a Patreon.com page. That's basically a subscription service for content creators such as myself. I have everything set super cheap. You can do $1 or $2 a month and it gives you access to all the videos plus some extras. If you do $5 or more a month, you get exclusive content and exclusive videos, every week. And you also get a credit as a producer on the content. So it's a really cool way to show your love for the show. Check that out. We also just started a Twitter account, so we have that up as well. Basically, we're just kind of all over social media. The Facebook page has a lot of cool stuff, articles, pictures, all kinds of stuff from the show. So feel free to check that out as well. So today, I noticed I hadn't done an episode of the 50 States of Paranormal in a while. So I picked a random state, and that just happened to be North Dakota. First, we're going to look at a haunted fort. Abraham Lincoln Fort, now a state park right beside the Missouri River, is known for being very well haunted. Plenty of death has occurred there throughout the years, and there are multiple accounts of soldiers sighted in period uniforms. And it is so well known for being haunted that it is the site of the yearly ghost tours and events. One interesting account comes from someone who actually witnessed two events, includes an apparition. This person reported being on the grounds one evening and driving a cart. I guess they were a security guard, I didn't mention. They looked to the side toward an old infantry house, and this person reported seeing an entire full body apparition, including blue 1800s or older soldier uniform, full body, hat to toes. They remarked that it was like seeing an old time photo coming to life and walking towards them. The same person, enjoying a couple's dinner at the Custer House on the property, reported their guests and themselves saw an old photo of one of the generals fly clear off of the piano in the home. No windows were open and no strong gusts were felt. There was no reasonable explanation for this force at which the picture was flung from the piano. So, all in all, that's very interesting. Now, if you have ever heard one of these episodes, basically I kind of jump around a lot. It's because there's just kind of varying things from each state, like ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, stuff like that. So just kind of bear with me. I like to pick a cool few random stories out of each state that I do. So it's going to jump around a little bit. I did find a cool short story or short report about a town called Rugby. A person reported being pulled over by a policeman, seeing the flashing lights in the mirror, and freaking out as most of us do. But he does admit speeding a bit. The guy pulled over and had his license ready, but upon looking back, the cop that pulled him over was gone. Vanished, no lights, no sirens, or other sounds. So the guy sped off, confident that he did not want to be pulled over in that town ever again. So now we're going to move to one of the most haunted places in North Dakota, the Sandhaven Sanatorium in Dunseith, opened in 1912 to treat patients with tuberculosis. As many large sanatoriums of the era had plenty of illness and death. The building closed in 1989 and ended with around 1,000 reported deaths. And that's the only one that's just what was reported. You see that a lot in places like this. You hear the infamous, they have death tunnels where they had to traffic the bodies out and then bury them in random fields and things like that. I mean, it's just a horrible time. The conditions during its run were, again, as a lot of these buildings, subpar. Overcrowding and other difficulties plagued the building. Locals say that some of the residents never really left. Sounds of children laughing and crying, faces in the windows, and dark shadows wandering the halls, as well as full-body apparitions have been reported. With so much pain and anguish, it really isn't a surprise, but it is sad that these individuals aren't at rest. And again, you do see that a lot in buildings like that, and sanatoriums and places where these people were held, and they I guess they had the best intentions when they start out with these things. They want to do the best they can for these poor people, but really they just end up suffering on beds right beside each other, and you see that all the time. Basically, in nearly all of these situations, you see that. And medicine was nowhere near where it is today. I was just watching an episode of Ghost Adventures the other day, and they were talking about a place in Kansas, I believe, or something. They had like a mineral spring, so this whole town was built up around it. And this is not even a doctor, but basically this guy said he could cure cancer by injecting a certain mixture of random things and that mineral water into the body. And he had this horrible ad campaign. It was about around the same time, you know, couple centuries ago, more or less. And basically, he would cut open a part of the body, like the stomach or something, and pour in this liquid mixture and sew it up. And allegedly, that was supposed to cure the cancer. And I mean, it's just all these like horrible, crazy ideas in medicine. But then again, I mean, I guess no one really knew if it was going to work or not. And then sadly, you have situations like that where there was, hundreds and hundreds of people that this guy allegedly helped, but he knew he wasn't actually helping them. So it is pretty sad sometimes to think about what, all those people went through. And um, not sanitariums or whatever, but um, mental institutions at that time especially were really bad. You have people basically standing around, walking around naked, or locked in cells all day, plenty of abuse. I mean, there's no good stories, or very, very few good stories coming out of places like that and sanatoriums where they kept tuberculosis patients and other things of that nature. This is a sad time altogether, really. But moving on and jumping into our next little segment here, cryptids. Cryptids is one of my, favorite, favorite things to go over in the paranormal field. So it's always fun looking up what random ones are in each state. A super creepy one I found some info on, and I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, is the Miniwashiru, a creature that was seen in and around the Missouri River, but not necessarily a lake monster. Reports are slim, but one from the 1800s was crazy. A local man reported seeing a large creature coming out of the water of the river. It had thick, matted red hair or fur like a buffalo. It only had one eye and a single horn coming from its head. The back was rigid and appeared like a dull saw, as as in it had up and down ridges on the back, basically. When locals and settlers asked native Indians about the creature, they told the settlers that they know of it and fear the creature. As I said, reports are slim, but that was definitely the best described report that I could find. There are also, as expected with all that open land, some Bigfoot reports and some reports of wild men that are not necessarily Bigfoot, but in the same vein. One report from 1908 talks about a couple of cattlemen who were attacked by a wild man, hairy and bipedal, crazy, not speaking in English, longer teeth than normal. They actually lassoed it and tied it to the horse, but there was no further report of what happened to the wild man after that, sadly. More than likely, they killed it and buried it, I would imagine. Um, Also, there are reports of what is known as thunderbirds. You see this in Native American folklore. Massive birds that create sounds of thunder when their wings flap. And there are obviously very few live reports of those, mostly Native American legends. Allegedly, in 2009, one was seen by a member of the armed forces who reported it to have a massive wingspan of around 20 feet. There are all kinds of creatures out there, so it is possible to have some great flying creatures still remain unknown, especially in today's society when you look at how focused we are on our phones and never really looking up anymore. Now, our final segment for the state is one UFO story. The dogfight between a World War II pilot and a UFO. In the skies near North Dakota State University in 1948, a P-51 Mustang pilot reported seeing a strange craft in the sky with him. The pilot decided to investigate, starting a documented 27-minute chase. He reported trying to get close to the craft, forcing his plane to its max speed of 400 miles an hour. But the saucer-shaped craft had to be going around 600, he surmised, as it continuously outmaneuvered him. He even tried to ram the craft head-on, moving away at the last second. It was as if the craft was simply toying with him. The story was actually corroborated by a second pilot and two ground controllers on the shift that night. The chase eventually ended with the pilot having to land, but was so shaken by the events he could barely speak. The pilot was later interviewed by soldiers and interviewers from Project Blue Book, the government's classified project to disprove UFO sightings. That's Project Blue Book. If you don't know what it is, that's basically what they did. History Channel. I've only seen a couple episodes, but it was really, really well done. They did basically a show on that. It's very recent. Sifting through the reports, it was said that quite a high number of them were reported in the state. So the state from 1947 on was kind of a hotbed of activity in the UFO field. Again, that they do have a show out. It's not out anymore. They finished it since then, but it was on the History Channel. And again, it's a very well done show. And I believe, I may be mistaken, I can't remember, that may be the actual first encounter that they show on episode 1. I'm about 99% sure it is. So really a crazy encounter. And I know it's just a couple random stories out of the state, but that's just some kind of fun stuff that I happen to find, in my research. I'm digging through Wikipedia, I'm looking up old newspaper articles, whatever I can find to just find these cool little random paranormal stories. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll be sure to get some more states written up and on the way. We've got quite a ways to go. I think we've only done 4 or 5, so there's 40 something more to go either way. So again, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Check us out on all our social media accounts, and we will catch you next time.